What's up, YouTube? It's Donovan the Smartphone Guy here to do my full review of the ZTE Axon 7 Mini. Now, for those of you that have been eagerly awaiting this, which I'm sure there's tons of you just out there just waiting for this, this is my 10-day review. So I've been using the phone for 10 full days now, and yeah, these are my thoughts after those 10 days. So let's just talk about real quick what you get in the box, and we'll get into the review of the actual phone in just a moment. So you get some headphones, you get a Type-C cord, and you get a wall adapter. And one thing I will mention about this wall adapter is that it is a 1.5 amp output. So it's not quite a Qualcomm 2.0 fast charger, which this phone is compatible with. So it's not the fastest charger you can get for a phone like this. So if you want the fastest charger, you're going to have to spend a little extra to pick up the fastest charger that this phone is compatible with. So just something to keep in mind. So put that aside, and let's talk about, first of all, what I love about this phone. So what I love about this phone is the build quality. So for me, and you can see just kind of how thin this is. So I'm going to just compare this to a few phones. So I have an iPhone 7 here, and you can see it's about the same thickness, maybe just a little bit thicker. Now this has a little thin case on it that it comes with. And in terms of size, it's a little bit bigger, but that's kind of going to be the case because this has a 5.2 inch screen, this has a 4.7 inch screen. Comparing it to like the blue R1 HD, roughly about the same size. Now they both have cases on them, so that's something to keep in mind, but roughly about the same size. I have here a blue, what is this? The blue Life 1 X2, which is going to be the next phone I review, and you can see that they're pretty much identical in size, but this one's definitely a little bit bigger, so yeah, a little bit thicker, sorry. So otherwise they're pretty much identical in size, and they both have 5.2 inch screens, so that makes sense. So build quality is definitely top notch on this phone. So we got the fingerprint sensor, our flash on the back, 16 megapixel camera, nice metal build, speakers in the front and top and the bottom. We have an 8 megapixel camera on the front, and then we have our power and our volume rocker. And yeah, I must say that I love how it feels in the hand. It's nice thin, fits nice in the pocket. So everything about the build for me, this is really about the sweet spot with that 5.2 inch screen, 1080p screen, which is nice. It is AMOLED, so that's good. Give a thumbs up to that. Obviously, it's not like a Samsung Super AMOLED screen, but it is very nice looking. And if you do this on and off, you can see that it'll go through various landscapes. Now, one thing that's a little bit annoying with the lock screen is that in order to get your alerts or to get any notifications, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's a little bell up there that you have to hit, and it'll give you your notifications. So, I don't know. For me, I'd rather just have the notifications come on when I hit my power button. So, in comparison, we have the X2 here, and you can see I just hit the power button, and there it is. So with this one, there's two steps. You got to hit the power button and then hit the notifications. Or, go ahead and hit your fingerprint and boom, it pops right up. There's your notifications, just like any other Android phone. So hardware plus, now let's go to software. So in terms of software, this has what's called the My Favor UI, and that's a ZTE UI that it comes with. There are a couple different themes you can get with that. So this is the quote-unquote stock theme, and for me, it's not stock enough. I like stock Android, and this has a little bit too much to it that I don't like in terms of bloatware. There's really, there's not a lot of bloatware. It's really the way the notifications are set up, the way the app drawers are set up, and things like that maybe aren't my favorite. So there really isn't a whole lot added except this little piece right here. So you can see there's customized features, so there's themes and wallpapers. So again, that's where you're going to get that stock theme. So that's called the stock theme there. And then we have this other theme over here, gives a little bit of a different feel, which is kind of cool. And then just some wallpapers you can get with it. And then we have My Pop, which gives you just a little button on there that can give you an extra home button, or let's go ahead and turn that on. And you can see here it has this little home button. recent apps, lock button, and a screenshot button. So that's just a little extra that it has. We've got some fingerprint gestures that you can use. So we'll go out of that. Some voice print that allows you to open the phone with your voice. This My Voice app is similar to like an old Samsung S Voice. I don't really see a need for that when there's Google. It's just my opinion. Obviously, you can, with Google Now and Google on Tap, I just don't see a need for that, but it's there. The gestures are nice, so we can go into the gestures. You can see there's a double tap to wake. There's 3-finger pinch for screenshot. That one's kind of nice. And then some other ones here that I didn't use as much. Flip to mute. Shake to turn on flashlight. That's a nice one. Turn off speakerphone. I'm not even really sure why you would use that. So auto call, auto answer. So the gestures are nice, and then we can flip the navigation keys in the software as well. So those are the really only customized additions to Android 6.0, which is what it comes with. But other than that, it comes with all of the things that you would need in the smartphone world. So we got our gyroscope. So if you want to play some Pokemon Go, if you want to do some VR with it, you can do that too. So it has all that. 32 gigs of onboard storage, 3 gigs of RAM. We'll talk about that next. Let's talk about the performance. So for me, the performance of this phone is definitely not. So let's go into some fantasy football. Yeah, I won. That's me. So I won this week. So the performance isn't terrible, but there's definitely some noticeable lag from time to time, especially if you're used to a heavier phone. Like if you're used to like an iPhone 7 or some of the newer phones, you will notice some slowdowns with this phone. It's not terrible. It's definitely not a deal breaker by any means. But with the 3 gigs of RAM and that 617 processor, it's fine. It's just not fast when you're used to faster phones. So just something to keep in mind. It opens up apps not super fast. So anyways, the 617 processor in the Moto G4 Plus, in the Moto G4, I felt was a little bit faster. So I think it's that My Favor UI that's added to it that kind of slows it down just a little bit. But still not a deal breaker by any means. Let's talk about next the battery life. So battery life on this phone is probably, in my opinion, the weakest point. So this has a 2,705 milliamp hour battery. And for me, that battery just does not get me through a day. I normally found myself charging the phone, usually in the evening when I got home, so we can go into some battery usage, but I did recently just put it back on the charger. So if I can find the battery here. Battery. Where's it at? Somebody show me the battery. Power manager, there it is. So we can go battery usage. And so it's really not very useful at this point because I did just recently charge it. But something to keep in mind, in my usage, I'm a heavy user. I keep my all of like the Wi-Fi on. I keep my GPS on. My Bluetooth is always on. NFC is always on. So I'm a heavy user of a phone, but I could not get through a day with this phone, where with other phones I can. And so I think that if you are somebody who uses a lot of battery, this phone might not be for you. Now, on the positive side, this does have Qualcomm 2.0 fast charging, which is great. And you can get about a 50% charge in 30 minutes with that. Again, it doesn't come with a Qualcomm 2.0 fast charger. It does come with a quote-unquote fast charger with that 1.5 amp, but it is not Qualcomm 2.0 fast charger, which this is capable of using. So that's the battery life. Let's talk about camera. So the 16 megapixel camera, and this was an issue. It's not bad, but one thing that I will mention is that we got the front facing, and the front facing camera I am definitely not a fan of. So let's go ahead and take a quick selfie here. So this is right now on Beautify. That Beautify really washes out colors in order to try to make it seem more natural. And you can't really tell there, but it really washes out the colors a little bit. So let's go through some pictures of my kids that I took with the phone. It's not the fastest shooter, so that's one thing to keep in mind. It's not terribly slow, but it's also not the fastest. But at nighttime or in darker situations, okay, so you can see kind of how there's a little bit of a lag there. And but in darker situations, it kind of defaults to night mode or HDR, which does cause it to slow down on occasion. So just something to keep in mind. It's not a bad camera by any means, but it's not the fastest, and there is that default to night mode and HDR, which can be a little bit frustrating from time to time. So just something to keep in mind. Is the camera a deal breaker? Absolutely not. The front-facing camera isn't my favorite, but the rear-facing camera isn't bad at all. So, take that for what it's worth. Let's see, what else do I need to talk about? I think I've pretty much covered all of the things that are most important, hopefully. Let's talk about some of the other things that are probably worth mentioning. The front-facing speakers on this phone are absolutely a selling point. If you're just looking for a phone that has great front-facing speakers, and maybe even the best, the ZTE Axon 7 for me was probably the best speakers I've had on a phone, and I've had a lot of front-facing speaker phones like the Nexus 6P. Right now I'm using the Alcatel Idol 4S as a kind of a side phone, and this easily is better than any of those, better than any of the old HTC phones. The front-facing speakers, this does also come with the audio DACs, which unless you're using super high-end headphones, you really won't even notice the difference, but it does have that if you are a high-end HD, high-fidelity music listener. It does come with that, so that's nice, but again, you're not going to really get those benefits unless you have super high-end headphones. But anyways, hopefully this is helpful for you. This is a $300 phone in the US, and in my opinion, it's a good phone for $300. Is it the phone that I would choose personally? I've used a ton of phones this year, and for my money, I think it's worth it to upgrade to get the Axon 7 for an extra $100, because you're gonna lose that lag, and you get a little bit bigger screen, so that's kind of nice. You get the 4K screen, and in my opinion, a little bit better battery life as well. So it's probably worth it to go up to that. Or I would even say the OnePlus 3 for $400. Probably a little bit better of a phone, better choice, better value for the money, just my opinion. The Moto G4 Plus definitely is, for me, one of the best deals that you can get on a phone for $300 or $350, depending on which variant you get. For $350, I would take that phone 100 times over this phone here. Now, this isn't a bad phone. I don't want you to think that this is a bad phone by any means, but it's just not my favorite phone of the year. I think the Moto G4 Plus, probably for the mid-range phones, or the OnePlus 3 are my two favorites so far this year. So with that being said, if you have any questions about this phone, please don't hesitate to contact me in the comment section. I will try to respond as fast as possible. And with that, please subscribe to this channel. Next up is the Blue Life 1 X2, my full review of this. I already did an unboxing, so you can check out that video. I also did an unboxing and first look of this phone as well, so you can check out that video. Those links will be in the description as well. So thanks for watching. Hope this has been helpful for you, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.